This is the first of a two-part series on Gumbo Live.
The next time you need a haircut, think of the barbershop with a grand tradition. Williams Barbershop. Williams Barbershop, proud to serve the entire community of Eufaula. Come by to our new location, new facilities, and see what it's like to be treated in style at Williams Barbershop in the old J.C. Penney catalog store.
There is another choice for making funeral arrangements. Central Funeral Services, located in Eufaula and Louisville, Alabama, with one-of-a-kind staff, thrives on professionalism and meeting the unique needs of families with a wide variety of services. Owned and operated by the Mixon family. Call 687-1060 or 266-5261. Melissa Mixon Smith, licensed funeral director.
Welcome. You're watching Gumbo Live, and I'm here in Judge. You call it your chambers or your office?
My office.
I'm here at the judge office, probate judge of Barber County. You know, I thank you, Judge, for your time. Yes. This is our second time, and I enjoyed it so much the first time. But look, let's get down to it. You're watching Gumbo Live, and we're here at downtown Eufaula, and the judge is off of the probate judge. Is in the courthouse here at downtown Eufaula. Just to remind everybody, Judge, who you are. I want you to tell them again who you are, just to remind our voters and our viewers of who you are.
Well, I'm Susan Shorter, and I'm the probate judge for Barber County.
All right, thank you. Short and sweet. Judge, we are what, 4 days away from the last election?
That's right.
The last election.
3 days.
3 days. Okay, let's do this first of all. Were there any problems that was brought to your attention at the polls?
No major problems. One of the things that jumps up just to begin with was we had somebody complained about one of the polling places being a little cramped. They moved it into a different room, and so we'll try to get that fixed next time.
Okay. Did anybody that you know of now, Judge, did anybody have any trouble voting? Will anybody turn away from the polls? That's the thing that most of us are concerned about. If anybody was turned away from the poll or somebody could not vote, do we have any of those problems?
No, there was somebody who didn't have photo ID, and I think there was some confusion between the poll workers that we could have done an affidavit letting two of the election officials identify them. And I think they ended up at the inspector's table, and the inspector didn't know them, so she sent them back home to get their photo ID, and they did go get it and come back.
Okay.
So that was an aggravation for them, because two of the officials did know who they were, and they could have signed the affidavit for them, but because of just some miscommunication, that didn't get it.
Okay. Now, Judge, you brought something that I want to talk to you about. But first of all, let me say this to our viewers. Let me say, they did vote.
They did vote.
Okay, let me say this to our viewers. There's no need not to have photo ID.
That's right. And she had it. She just forgot to
Forgot it. Okay. All right. So the poll workers was doing their job.
They were, yes.
They did their job. Now, Judge, you said something that I want to talk to you about. You said that the inspector there did not know that person.
That's right.
Two of the poll workers did.
That's right.
All right. Now let me say this to you, Judge. I had a conversation, not street conversation. I had a conversation with some very respected, very intelligent folks. I wouldn't come to you with street talk. and one of the concerns is that you got precincts where minority votes. Most of the voters are black. There are precincts like that. Would you agree with that?
Well, I'd have to look at the ratios, but there are probably some that have a higher minority of black people than white people.
Okay.
Probably
all right.
so.
All right. And I hate to.
I hate to say
talk about race.
I hate to say that for sure, because to be honest, I don't really know for sure what the actual ratios are without looking at the registered voter list, or if we even if we even had that. I'm sure the board of registrars.
Yeah, they have that. They have that.
I don't have access to it.
But let's go on. Let's go on, Jerry. Let me get some water just a minute. I don't like to talk race. I don't like to talk that. But that's a reality in what we live. We live in America. America is black, white, and other. So let's talk about that for a moment.
Right.
That there's a concern that the inspectors at the poll, where there are minority, or the majority of the voters are minorities, that there's no black inspectors there.
Okay.
There's no black inspectors there. Now I need you to do two things for me. I need you to do two things for me, because when I went to vote, there were 1, 2, 3, 4, about four black ladies in there.
And where do you vote?
I vote up here at the old school, old McCool school. So now I'm just assuming that everybody in there is the same, but you used a different word for me just now. You used inspector. So are there minorities inspectors at the precincts?
Yeah, let me look at my list here. I've got some different information here. Let me see if I can. There are let's see.
I got the judge going to the book, man.
So I lose track because, like you said, I don't look at race either, so I don't really keep track of exactly who's who. There are There are two. That's not in Eufaula though. That's out in the county.
So we got two. Okay. Now, what's the difference? Job description between the inspector and
the clerks.
And the clerks.
The clerks. Right.
Okay. The clerks would be who I call the poll workers.
Yeah.
Is that the same?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're all poll workers.
Okay. They're all poll workers.
That the inspector has a little heightened responsibility on just overseeing. You gotta have somebody in charge. So they're just in charge of overseeing the conduct of the election at that polling place and handling any problems that come up. And they're kind of the contact with me on election day. Although I've told the poll workers if they ever have a problem with their inspector, they're welcome to call me too. And also they're responsible for being sure that the ballots and all the returns get back to the courthouse at the end of the night. So.
Okay. So the poll workers know who the inspector is. That's no big secret.
Right. No, it's published in the newspaper.
It is. All right. So now the inspector job is to make sure that everything goes the way it's supposed to go according to the law.
That's right.
At the poll.
That's right.
They also make sure everybody can vote who want to vote. Is that part of their job?
Exactly.
Okay. All right.
There's and the clerks.
Okay.
I mean, the clerks were supposed to be working on that too.
Now, how do I become? How do I? Okay. I'm gonna ask you two questions.
Okay.
I want to know, how do I become an inspector, and who says where I inspect it?
Okay, well, I'll answer your second question first.
Okay.
The law says that we should appoint poll workers based on the precinct where they vote. So when we make appointments, that's done 20 to 15 days before the election. We can't do it any sooner than 20 days before, no later than 15 days before the election. And so they have to be appointed based on where they vote.
Okay, now Jerry, now you know how I do Gumbo Live. You know sometimes I cut you off.
That's okay.
But listen, so everybody that was working at the poll when I went to vote, they vote at the same poll. There's nobody that come from across town.
Well, if they were appointed during that 20 to 15 day window, then they would be. Now we can make emergency shifts as if people who we've appointed call and say they can't make it, or if they don't show up, or if there's an emergency on election day and there's something that needs to be shifted around, we can do that. But when we make the appointments, which we hope hold, because it makes our life a lot easier.
So now you make the appointment, Judge, based on where I vote.
That's right.
Okay, so a friend of mine, and I. Now, don't let me get out of here without you telling me about the qualifications.
Okay. I'll try
all right. But now look. So I got to, if I want to work the poll, I got to do it over at TD McCool.
That's right.
So that's where I vote at.
Unless there's an emergency.
Okay. And a friend of mine, let's call him Jerome.
Okay.
He votes somewhere else. But I want to work with him. We want to work. We want to be able to sit down. And when me and Jerome sit down, we do more talking than we do working. But since it's a sit-down job, we want to sit down side by side each other, and
Right.
and Jerome known to tell tall tales, and I sit there and listen to him and laugh. Is that possible? Can we do that?
Well, it's possible, but not to begin with. I mean, y'all could end up together, but not unless it worked out that there was an emergency that allowed me to do that later. We can appoint alternate workers that can serve at large in the county, but they are not guaranteed a spot to work.
Now, what's an emergency? What kind of emergency would it have to take for me and Jerome to be together?
Well, like if I appointed you, and then Jerome was an alternate worker, we can appoint up to 4 alternates. Then if somebody called in sick, or said they had a doctor's appointment, they couldn't make it, or whatever reason, then we can appoint him. But we have to first try to appoint, if there's an alternate at your polling location, we have to appoint that alternate first. But if there's no alternate for your polling location, and Jerome was an alternate, then we could appoint him to work there with you.
Well, what about if he wasn't? What about if he was a poll worker just like me?
If he was a poll worker at his own poll,
Yeah.
it would be highly unlikely. Now this time around, we did shift one poll worker. There were 8 at Sanford this time, and there was 6 at the water board, for instance. And so one of the people that was assigned to work the water board at I can't remember if it was after we'd had poll worker school, we couldn't get anybody else in there. Couldn't make it.
You said poll worker school?
We'll talk about that in a minute.
Please. All right, now, okay.
Don't
All
get
right.
too far off track.
All right, go ahead.
So and Sanford had actually called me earlier that morning and said they felt like they might have too many people. We had 8 there, and that was the place that I said we had a complaint. It was cramped instead of
Okay.
Instead of being out in the gym, they were in a smaller room. And so I think they were feeling the constrictiveness of that room and said, we think we have too many people. And I said, well, we've appointed them. I mean, they've got to be there. That's where they were appointed. That's where they're going to work. And then about 30 minutes later, I made my rounds to the water board, and they were feeling like they needed somebody else. They were stressing out. And I said, well, and they were stressing out. It was busy. And I said, well, Sanford just called me. Just
got 2 minutes.
Yeah, and I said, let me see if I can shift one, because that felt like an emergency to me. So I called over there, and we ended up getting somebody over there. I tried to get them to pick who wanted to come, but none of them wanted to go. So the inspector and I talked about who might be best to go. So we picked somebody that had never worked a polling location anywhere before, and we just sent her over.
Okay, so now, Judge, that's your call and your call alone. Who works at what poll is your call and your call alone?
No, probably on election day it is, because I'm the chief election official and I'm the one who's basically handling all the problems that come up that day. But when we, so on that day it would be, but when we're making the appointments, the appointing board is comprised of me and the sheriff and David Nix, the circuit clerk.
Oh.
So really it's 3 people who make the appointments.
Okay, and
although,
how far in advance y'all do that?
It falls on my office to do.
How far normally?
20 to 15 days.
Okay, so 20 you, the sheriff, and Mr. Nix get together, and y'all decide at least 20 days before election time where A, B, and C gonna work. Is that correct? Is that what you're saying to me?
That's right, and we also have to take recommendations from the parties. If the Republican Party or the Democratic Party, or if there were any other party who had candidates on the ballot, although in Barber County it's just generally those 2 parties. But they can submit recommendations to us, and basically those recommendations are selected first. That's what the law calls us to do, to select whoever the party recommends over who we want to put on there.
Oh really? So wait now. You bring something else to my mind. Let's say you got 5 folks that normally works your polls for you. All right, and one party called and said, no, we want so and so. That means you're gonna take one of the people away.
Maybe.
And put somebody else there because the party want them there.
Maybe. Maybe. We need to. We need to weigh, and I mean, we need qualified people working the polls. So if we got an influx and the party said, if they had all new people working, I think the appointing board would decide that we couldn't accept all of those recommendations because we just can't have all new people working, or it would just be a nightmare.
Now help me with this.
because you need people who have done it before and who are familiar with it.
Okay, and we'll go back to that school.
To the school, we have a school, but
Let's talk about the school. Come on, let's talk about that now.
Yeah.
Tell me.
The school is mandatory.
If I come to you tomorrow and say I want to work at the post, then you tell me I got a mandatory to go to school.
Yeah, you have to go to poll worker school.
Where?
I have it. I have one in Clayton and one in Eufaula. We have to have it the week before the election. I had it on Thursday before the election this time.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to go to poll worker school to be able to work the poll, except in those emergency situations. Like if there were an emergency, like let's just pretend like it's time to open the polls and none of the people I appointed at one polling location showed up. I mean, you got to have the poll open.
Mm-hmm.
And if people didn't go to poll worker school, you still got to open the polls so people can come vote. Mm-hmm. So in situations like that, then they don't have to go to poll worker school. But if they're appointed, they have to go to poll worker school.
Now,
We go over the basics,
Okay, now you said.
Which is hard to drill in a 2-hour time.
Do everybody that want to go to poll worker school go to poll worker school? Everybody that want to work at the poll? They have to go to poll worker school.
Oh yeah, unless they're appointed after the appointments are made and after poll worker school.
So if 10
they're
of us walk
appointed
in
before poll worker school, they have to go to poll worker school.
If 10 of us walk in and say we want to work at the poll, and you said we got to go to poll worker school, can all 10 of us go to poll worker school? That's my question.
Not necessarily, because we don't need to have. I mean, everybody who calls in, there may not be enough room to have everybody working on location.
Okay. So how do you weed? Now this is a question, and I'm gonna try to phrase it very carefully, Judge. How do you weed out the ones that go and don't go to poll worker school?
Well, that's done in that 20 to 15 day window when we're making the appointments, and we try to pick people who have experience. And sometimes there are people with experience who have been there forever and maybe they don't really need to be on there. So sometimes just because they've been working there for a long time, we may try to cycle some people off if they're not doing what they need to be doing, and bring new people on. And I also I said we need to try doing a better job of rotating people so that we have some old pros there and some new people there so that when our old pros can't make it, we have we're not left in a jam with people calling in. But basically, it's people who've been working there. You kind of try to keep those same people. It was hard on me though when we first started making appointments in the June primary because there was no I didn't have like a master list to go to. I mean, we found April, my chief clerk over in Clayton, helped Judge Robertson before with some of the appointments, but not to the extent that she's helped me this time. And so she was going off of memory a lot, and we found one file with some notes from it. I don't remember now if it was the 2012 election or the 2010 election, but nothing was very well organized in regard to that. Mm-hmm. So we just did the best we could trying to remember who had worked before. Mm-hmm. I couldn't remember because I'd never done it before. Mm-hmm. But looking at what we could find in the file and, just coming up with people that we might know and calling to see if they could do it.
Okay, Judge, help me with this now, because what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to give the most truthful picture to our viewing audience. Some are frustrated. Some talking, they don't know what they're talking about. That's always going to be.
Probably so.
And then you got some people who are really, really concerned, and really want the best for Barber County and Eufaula.
Right.
And these issues are talked about, Judge. And let me say this to you. I want to thank you. I want to take my hat off to you for willing to sit down. And I tell my audience all the time, ain't nothing prearranged. Ain't nothing prearranged. We do this, and the judge got her book in front of her. That's smart. That's right. That's very smart. I don't have nothing, but there's no deals made. And I'm saying that to say I thank you because we're really talking about some touchy subjects. Because you're talking about race and you're talking about voting and that I don't talk about voting with my friends and my enemies. Because if I talk about it with my friends, that'll make them my enemies.
Maybe so.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I try to talk about it much either.
So let's look at this. What I'm trying to do now, I'm trying to say anybody that wants to work at the poll
needs to call me.
Okay.
Yes. because I'm just doing the best I can in here, and if somebody thinks that I'm not doing what I need to be doing, I need to know about it. And if y'all are, if somebody's talking outside and I don't know about it, then they need to call me.
Okay. So if any of us,
Yeah.
male, female, got an age limit?
No, but there's a lot of.
Got to go enough to vote.
Well, they have to be a registered voter.
Okay,
They have to be a registered voter.
So race doesn't make any difference.
No.
Okay. Now let me ask you this: once we go to poll worker school, does the inspector comes out of that group?
Yeah. Well, we go ahead and appoint the inspector and name who that will be before the poll worker school, because the law tells us to do that,
Okay.
and we have to publish that in the paper.
But now they have to go to the school also.
Yeah, and right now we had them go to the same school. We've talked about my clerks and I here, not my poll worker clerks, but my clerks in the office, have talked about maybe having a separate inspector school next time we do it, because when you're doing the end of the night returns and dealing with some of the problems that where we're trying to get all our paperwork together and make everything match up and be perfectly right when they bring it back to the courthouse that night, there are problems every time. And we think it might help to have a separate one for our inspectors. Although I don't know if it
Now,
will.
Judge, let's be very careful.
Okay.
After the voting is all over and they're trying to get that stuff to you. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
that's right. And when I say problems, it's more like irritations.
Okay. All right.
When you need to come to Clayton, and so does everybody else, I'd encourage everybody to come to the Clayton courthouse after the polls close on election night, because everybody, the inspectors bring all the stuff over there to the courthouse, and we have a lot of all the stuff that goes on all throughout the day of the poll working. We have envelopes, that have to go to different places, to me, to the board of registrars, to the different political parties, to be sealed in case there's a contest of the election. And we just have to be sure we get all that stuff in the right place, and that all the voted ballots are secured in the right place. And so there's a lot of stuff, and sometimes some of the stuff comes back and stuff's in the wrong box, or it's in the wrong envelope, and that's the problem, because we have to get a court order from Judge Smithart to open any boxes to find what we need.
Okay. Let me do this. Let me do
that's
two
why
things.
I said we need to have separate instructions sometimes
for the inspectors. Let me thank you, because you invited me to come to Clayton last Tuesday, and I want to thank you for that. Now you said something else, and we want to talk about this last election. But let's talk about a few more things before we get to the last election. Okay. Me personally and other folks, we're suspicious about absentee votes.
Okay.
We're very suspicious about absentee votes. Take us through. Take us from the process and bringing it up to you. not when it get to you. Okay.
I'll do my best.
But tell us the process, Judge, of an absentee vote.
Okay.
Before it get to you, and then how it get to you. Then how do it get to you? And then after we talk about that, then tell us what happened once it get to you.
Okay.
Because a lot of us are suspicious about those absentee ballots.
Okay.
All right.
I don't handle all of that process, so I'll tell you what I can remember the best I can off the top of my head.
Well, who handles it? Who handles what you don't handle?
David Nix is the absentee election manager.
Okay.
He's circuit clerk, and it falls on him unless he declines the responsibility, and then I forget how it goes after that. But anyway, he's handled that on this last election. Now he didn't handle it in the 2012 election because he was running. Right. So, but anyway, his office handles that, and people have to make the first step is they have to make an application to have an absentee ballot.
Wait a minute. Let's stop right there. Let's stop right there, Jerry.
Okay.
Nobody can vote absentee unless they have an absentee they made a request for. Is that correct?
That's right. They have to make a request for the.
Okay.
Right.
Now it's
been a long time since I've seen the application, so I'd have to look and see. I think
this is my question. This is my question.
Sign it. I don't know if it has to be notarized.
Okay.
The ballot does, but I don't know if the application.
Okay, that's my question. That's my question. See, we want to get it all the way.
Okay.
So if I'm going to be absentee vote, where do I get my application Is that right? Is that the word you use? Where do I get my application to make a request to vote absentee?
Well, you can get it from the clerk's office upstairs, because that's where the absentee election manager's office is. I don't even think we had any here, but if somebody came here, we could get them one.
Okay.
And you can go online to the Secretary of State's website.
If I'm going to be, let's say for this, I'm involved in so much stuff. Let's say I want to go out and get absentee votes. I want to go out there and get folks to vote absentee.
Right.
So I got to go get an application for each one of those folks.
That's right. People can help people get applications. Like when I was running, for instance, when I was campaigning, I kept applications in my car. And when I went to somebody's house, if they said, "Oh, I'm not going to be able to make it out, I can't get out, I don't have anybody to drive me," I would go get them an application out of my car and either leave it with them, and see, it's been 2 years ago, that's why I said I can't remember.
Right.
I really hadn't looked at one since I ran, to be honest, except in quick passing.
Okay, but now you said something.
But I would leave it with them,
okay.
or sometimes they would fill it out, and I would mail it in for them. I would put an envelope with a stamp and mail it to the clerk's office.
Now, George.
And then
help me with this.
Okay.
When they fill it out, they're not voting.
No, that's
they're just making a request to vote.
To get the ballot.
Okay. That application has to go somewhere.
To the clerk's office.
Has to go to the clerk. All right. So I can't walk in today and fill out the application and let you vote at the same time. Is that possible? Yes or no?
Well, the person can come to the clerk's office.
No. Come on back, Jerry.
Okay.
Stay with me.
Okay.
Stay with me.
Okay.
Can I come to your house?
Can you come to my
house? And I'm talking to you about voting. And you say, "Well, I'm going to be out of town that day."
Right.
Can I give you an application for an absentee ballot and let you vote at the same time?
No.
Okay.
No.
So the ballot has to go to Mr. Nick's office.
The application
I'm sorry.
Right.
The application has to go to Mr. Nick's office.
That's right.
So what I need to do now is interview Mr. Nick, which he promised me that Mr. Nick, you promised me I can interview you.
He'll give you.
Yeah, he promised me he will. So what we need to do.
And then when they get the application in his office, then they mail the ballot to the person.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know.
Yes.
I wanted to know what happened when the application gets to his office.
Yeah.
So I can't walk around with a ballot.
No.
Okay.
It goes to the person who's voting.
Okay.
It's supposed to be mailed to their residence, and
Okay.
or it could be mailed to, like for instance, if somebody knows they're going to be, on a business trip for 3 weeks, and they're not registered to vote in New York City.
Right.
They're in New York
You
City.
send it to them.
On the application, they can say,
Send it here.
don't mail it to,
Right.
my Eufaula
Right,
address.
right.
Mail it to whatever New
Okay.
York City.
Two things. Two things, Judge.
I think that's right.
Well, we're gonna make sure.
Ask
I'm gonna make Mr. Nick. Two things, but listen. This is what we got you on record saying. That if you're gonna absentee vote, you got to make a request
That's right.
for a ballot.
That's right.
The ballot has to be sent to that person.
That's right.
Okay.
Right.
All right. So voting is still personal and still private.
It's supposed
Am I right?
Yes.
Let me give you an example. I was out here on Thanksgiving passing out candy. Lady came
On
to
Halloween.
Halloween, yeah. What I said?
Thanksgiving.
Yeah, Halloween. Then when a lady come up to me and told me who she wanted me to vote for, and I said, "Ma'am, I don't let nobody tell me who to vote for." She got mad at me. You understand what I'm saying? Voting is. I'm saying that to say to everybody, voting is still private.
That's right.
Nobody can tell you who to vote for. Nobody can make you vote for nobody.
That's right.
And shame on you if you sell your vote. So that's the process as we know it.
That's right.
For absentee. All right. Now, when do you count the absentee ballot? Now, the absentee vote ballot is in your hands now. They don't follow the right process.
They don't come into my hands. They go back to the clerk's office.
Mr. Nix.
Right.
Okay.
Whenever the application's mailed, they mail the ballot to the person, and the person votes the ballot. The ballot has to be mailed back, and it goes back to David Nix's office.
When do Mr. Nix know who they voted for?
Well, he doesn't know either, because when they get the ballots, they have to deliver them to my absentee polling location. We set it up upstairs in the courthouse in Clayton. And they have to then go through they have to open them up, and they have the secrecy envelopes, and so they're put in a separate pile, so when you're opening the back of the You have to be sure that it's been signed properly and notarized, and it looks
Signed by who?
by the voter.
By the voter.
You know, there's like a little affidavit on the. Have you ever seen the absentee? You've never seen it.
I never voted up to you. I voted.
It's been a while since I've looked at the whole thing, but
Judge,
there's an envelope.
let me say this. I got to say this.
Wait,
I'm
never
proud.
voted?
No, ma'am.
Never
I've
voted
never
absentee?
missed voting since I've been 18 years old.
Good. And
I've
you
always
never had to
voted.
do
No, ma'am.
absentee?
And I've always, and I'm going to say this. I got to say this, Judge. I got to say this.
Wait.
I know we ain't got to do it in Alabama, but I've always been a registered Democrat.
Yeah, you don't have.
Did I help you?
We don't have to.
Did I not help you, Judge?
Yeah.
All right. So I needed to say that, though, because they got folks running around talking about, well, anyway, whatever I am, that's what I am, but I know what I am.
Right.
Okay, so now it got to be signed.
Yeah. When you vote the ballot, you fold the ballot up and you put it in a secrecy envelope. It doesn't have any names or anything on there. It's just a plain envelope that says, I think it says secrecy envelope. And then you put the secrecy envelope inside another envelope. And I may be missing an envelope somewhere, but I think you put it inside another, and you have to put your identification inside there, a copy of your driver's license or whatever, because you have to have photo ID, you know. And on the back of the second envelope, they have to sign saying, you know, I voted this ballot. You know, I mean, there's a certification,
Back up, Judge.
and it has to be notarized.
Even with absentee vote, you got to have ID.
Yeah, there's now, and this is where you have to ask David next to. There's a hardship clause for people like in the nursing home or people who might not be able to get out to get their ID anymore. I believe there's something they can sign. I don't know if they have to sign it on the back of that ballot or what they do, but I think it's done on that envelope. If they don't have ID for absentee purposes when there's a physical handicap and they don't have one, I think they can submit some other documentation.
We coming, Mr. Nix. We coming. We got a lot of questions for you.
He can tell you way more than I can.
We got a lot of questions for you, my friend. We're on our way.
But when we get the, so they put the ballot in the secrecy folder, they put it in another envelope, they sign the back, it's been notarized and all that. And then it goes in the envelope and mail it in.
Okay.
And so that goes to the clerk's office and they hold all that until election day.
Okay.
And because they can still accept ballots in the mail until noon on election day.
Okay.
So they're still checking the mail that day for any ballots that would come in.
Okay.
So then when they get them all, they deliver them to the polling location that's upstairs in the courthouse. And then they start going through them. They have to open it, be sure it looks proper.
Now, a sheriff deputy delivers. Is that correct?
I think the absentee election manager just delivers them. I think Jane Nix and David work together on getting that facilitated. I think Jane's probably the one that
Okay.
I don't know. Oh, I don't know if it's Jane or David.
But anyway, from the polling place to Clayton, the sheriff takes them. Is that correct?
Well, the polling place is at the courthouse in Clayton.
No. Where I vote at. Where I vote
These
at.
are the absentees.
precinct. No, I know we're going to go back to the absentee in a minute. But I'm still talking about this secrecy and this protection. When the poll closed, when my precinct closed, everything got to go to Clayton. Is that correct?
Oh yeah, not talking about
and the sheriff, no, not talking about absentee yet. We're gonna go back to absentee. All right, but does not a sheriff deputy have the responsibility of going by each precinct and bringing the ballot to you?
The inspectors do that.
The inspectors do that.
The inspectors do that. They bring them to the courthouse. And the sheriff's deputies are there to help escort them into the courthouse if they need help. Now here in Eufaula, because we take the returns in Clayton, the inspectors in the Eufaula area bring the returns to the Eufaula courthouse, and then the sheriff's deputy transports them in one fell swoop over to Clayton. So everybody here doesn't have to drive all the way over to Clayton, but they come to the.
I didn't know that, Jerry. I thought that the deputies were the ones to keep stuff down. The deputy were the one who took the votes from the
polling locations. Yeah, the inspectors bring those to the. It could be either one. The inspectors can be charged with that duty.
Okay. So let's go back now, Jared. I know I got you going back and forth, and I appreciate your time, and we still got some more time left. Well, I appreciate that. But look, let's go back to the absentee. That's always a big contention, soreness. So let's go back to the absentee. Now I understand that when you count it, you count those first. Is that correct?
Yeah, it usually works out because, well, I mean, other votes are being counted all throughout the day too, but they can usually, when they get them, after lunch that day, they usually are the first ones to get finished because they're not dealing with people coming in unless they're counted. There's not more people walking in to vote, so once they're counted, they're done.
Do
So
you have
that
to?
usually is the first.
Do you have to verify absentee votes? Let me tell you what I'm talking about. I've heard rumors now. I've heard how people talk. Yeah?
Right.
Let's tell the truth now. I've heard tales that the absentee ballots would have the same signature, same handwriting on all of them.
For the voter. For the voter.
For the voter.
I don't know because I don't see those.
Okay. Who sees those, Jill?
That would be the absentee election manager.
We're going Mr. Nix again.
And then also the clerks and inspectors at the absentee polling location. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, if so, I would be looking to whoever's notarizing those signatures. Because a notary is saying that voter.
Okay, so all absentee votes. Now hear me again. All absentee votes has to be notarized.
Yes, I believe.
Man, we need Mr.
God,
Nix.
it's been a while since I've looked
We need
at that.
Mr. Nix.
I'm pretty sure, yes, that they have to be notarized. I don't think you can get by with 2 witnesses. You need Mr. Nix, yeah, because it's been, that's not part of what I'm looking at.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it's out of my
Brain.
yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
All right. So.
If I'd known you were going to ask me these, I would have been prepared.
All right.
I would have done some research and looked at the ballot.
One good thing, George, about Gumbo Live, and I think everybody that watches on a regular basis knows is that that's what it is. It's live. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Drinking
I could
water
probably look
and all
it
this
up,
other
but it
stuff.
might take me 5
Yeah.
minutes.
But that'll give me an excuse to get you back on the air too.
Yeah.
So okay. So now let's go back to the last election we just had. No problems. You said no problems. No major
I
problems.
mean, nothing major at all. We got
Nobody turned away.
not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
I mean, not if so, somebody needs to call and let me know. But not that I'm aware of.
Now, I went to the registrar's office before sometime today, and I think she said 42% voted. You could have that
Look,
kind
I've
of
got
information?
something out here. Let's see. Yeah, the total voter turnout countywide was 42.54%.
That's countywide.
Now that may adjust just ever so slightly because we have 22 provisional ballots that we still have to count next week, or they may not be counted, but there's 22 that have to.
No, what that mean?
Those are people who go to the polling location and for whatever reason their name's not on the list of registered voters, but they insist, that that's where they should be voting, and so they'll cast a provisional ballot. Or sometimes it's when, say, somebody applied for an absentee ballot, but then they show up at the poll to vote. And so we have them showing on the roster as having voted absentee.
Right.
Because we don't want them to vote twice.
Right.
And so if they say, no, I didn't vote absentee, then we have to let them vote a provisional ballot so that the Board of Registrars can go through and research and find out what's happened to determine if the vote at the polls needs to count or if an absentee ballot vote was cast. So that's an example of when they vote provisional.
Yeah. So now here we are. What you said? 4 days out?
Yeah, or three,
And
four.
three,
Yeah.
whatever it is. But these votes have not been counted. I know they're but 22.
No, they
Why?
Well, because it takes time to decide if they need to be counted or not. And so what happens, and that's one of those envelopes I was talking about that the inspectors have to get me back. They have an envelope that they have to put in the provisional roster and with any of the forms that provisional voters fill out to let us know why they think they need to be voting there. So then the Board of Registrars gets that on election night. They've been working on it this week to go through them and see, why was the person not on the roster? Why do they think they needed to be there? What's going on with it? And so they determine if it should be counted or not. And then on Wednesday, usually it's the Tuesday after the election, but that's Veterans Day next week, so it'll be Wednesday of next week. The Board of Registrars and I will get together along with whoever else wants to come. You should come Wednesday to Clayton.
What time? What time?
At noon.
Okay.
Noon Wednesday in Clayton.
Okay.
And anybody else who wants to come, we'd be glad to have everybody there.
We're gonna make sure we show this before Wednesday too.
Yes. Okay. Good.
Okay.
But we will. The board will let me know whose vote needs to be counted or not, and they give us a reason why it should or should not be counted, and it's done in public.
Okay. So if somebody come there, and you got them that they voted absentee, and they really didn't, how you resolve that, Judge? How you resolve that?
Well, the absentee election manager will be able to let the board of registrars know if that absentee ballot came back and if it was turned in at the polls on election day. So if the absentee ballot was returned back and was turned in at the polls, then I guess the vote's not counted. I mean, I guess if the person, I don't know how that works. If the person says, well, I'm not the one who voted, I mean, that's a whole nother.
So Mr. Nick's going to be there Wednesday too? Is it necessary for him to be there?
Yes, he'll be there Wednesday.
You have to be there too Wednesday too. That's an interesting process.
Yeah, it is.
So you know, I was following.
I don't think we've ever had, like last time, I don't think we had a provisional ballot that was cast. I don't think we had the absentee question come up at the last one. But we had one of the ones I remember, a guy's name was not on the list to vote, and it was because he had at some point in time been charged with a felony charge. And so the whoever handles criminal stuff, I don't even know who. I guess I don't know if it's somebody with the state. Those felony conviction charges. I guess it's with the administrator or with a I don't know who it is. I need to find out which agency actually submits that to the board of registrars. But they'll let them know that the person needs to be removed for a felony charge. And so, but what happened is the guy, his charge got reduced down to where it wasn't a felony. It was some other kind of charge. But he was convicted on the lesser charge, but on the felony charge that was shown as a felony conviction in the system somewhere. And so his name was removed, but it should not have been because it really wasn't a felony conviction. And so his vote counted when we counted the Tuesday after.
You brought something else up now. We're going to run out of time.
The next time you need a haircut, think of the barber shop with a grand tradition, Williams Barbershop. Williams Barbershop, proud to serve the entire community of Eufaula. Come by to our new location, new facilities, and see what it's like to be treated in style at Williams Barbershop in the old JCPenney catalog store.
There is another choice for making funeral arrangements. Central Funeral Services, located in Eufaula and Louisville, Alabama. With one-of-a-kind staff, thrives on professionalism and meeting the unique needs of families with a wide variety of services. Owned and operated by the Mixon family. Call 687-1060 or 266-5261. Melissa Mixon Smith, licensed funeral director. The second part of this series will air next week at this same time of Gumbo